need to end every last driver that gets in my way. No pressure or anything.
I want to talk about Axel as well. I feel like now we're kind of in spoiler territory because they were very clear to me that Axel even being in season 2 is a spoiler, but he is in some trailer shots. Yes. Either way, we get a lot of, there's so much with him, right? He's not just a cool character design, because a lot of fans of the games will often say that they view Axel as more of the poster boy for Twisted Metal, more than Sweet Tooth at times. But here you gave him a lot of layers, and his relationship, implied relationship, if you will, with Mayhem. Can you talk to me about fleshing out Axel and making him more than just a visual spectacle, making him an actual layered character?
Absolutely. I think, to me, when I think of Axel, I don't just think of him as the man in between the two giant wheels, right?
He doesn't detach in the game, right?
He does in one of them, actually.
Okay. I was going to say, thank God you let him walk around a little bit.
Yes. I mean, that was super important to me, is we had to have him be a character that interacted with others and not just be in the wheels. But when I think of Axel, I don't just think of him as the man in the wheels, which is iconic, right? That iconic image. I think of him as having this cursed backstory, as having this like harrowing, like this sad, he's not even just cursed in the sense of like, badly cursed, but just like he has a very tragic backstory, right? And we really wanted to carry that over in a new way. And because, look, some of his other backstories, I feel like I'd seen in other pieces of media, and we wanted to do our own version, just like we had done our own version of Sweet Tooth and John Doe, and we wanted to find our own version, And with Mayhem, we really loved this idea of having him be tied to, now we're in spoiler territory, having him be tied to another character, having him have this, this lost character that, he had lost this baby, and having him search for this baby. And we really loved that he, was searching for something. And we really loved that he has this very human side of him, and he's torn between the human and the machine, and how he's really like fighting these two parts of himself. And you see that in like the AA meeting, how he's like really wants to be, he's more than just a machine that drinks oil, and we really love that part of him. And Axel's backstory coming over these multiple episodes is like one of my favorite parts of the season, how you kind of piecemeal and learn more about him. And Michael James Shaw crushes that storyline. He's so phenomenal, and I really love how it all kind of comes together.
Very much so. I want to, before we officially wrap up here, we have to talk about the relationship of John Doe and Dollface and the wishes that are going on. I feel like you toy with in this show the idea of be careful what you wish for, because a lot of these wishes come true in a way that clearly is not desired. I'm dancing around it. We're in spoiler territory. Dollface comes back to life in the form of the minion, and now John Doe is faced with, having to fight family probably in season 3. How did you go about mapping out that family tree and wanting to have the layer of intertwining it with Calypso's wish?
Well, I think like Calypso's, we love, obviously the wishes are a huge part of the story. It's a huge part of the game. And what I loved so much about breaking this season was, what if we made that a main part of John's story? And so much of this story is not, season 1 was about John Doe finding family in quiet. And now season 2 is about, what do you do when you have family? And we really wanted to pay off that idea with Dollface, finding a part of his family, getting to know this family, and then, be careful of what you wish for. And so much of his storyline with Quiet this season is also about, how do you, when you and your partner want two different things, you know what I mean, with the wishes. And we really wanted to tie that into their emotional storyline with the relationship this season. And we just loved this crazy reveal when he gets his wish in a weird way. And if you actually, not to spoil the watching of anyone, if you look at everyone's wishes, you might look at how they all die and kind of piece together how, kind of in a weird way, everyone gets their wishes. And we wanted to make sure that, because only one person can win, we kind of wanted to pay off everyone's storylines in a weird way too.
Yeah, Raven having the hand extend, like technically got the reunion she wanted, not in the capacity she wanted. I'll fully wrap with this. I know from the game lore, Calypso kills John Doe. You do pick and choose what lore you want to adapt completely one-to-one and what things you want to take in your own direction. Do you already know the end game for the Twisted Metal TV adaptation? And are you, I mean, you're definitely aware of how Calypso and John Doe factor out in the show. Is that where we're going?
I have a lot of ideas for next season. I don't want to spoil anything, but I have a lot of ideas for season 3. I have an awesome idea for where it goes in season 4. But I don't want to spoil anything for where we go with John Doe's story and where it goes with Calypso. But I have a really, really cool idea for where things will go.
Very understandable. I will fully wrap with this. We get a flash of Dollface Minion's eyes seeming a little, still maybe there's some humanity back there. Am I reading too much into it?
I think you're reading the right amount. I think I think now we're looking into what season 3 looks like, and I think episode 12, which I'm really happy with. I love where season 12 ends. That is totally setting up like. I want there to be a lot of discussion about where we end 12 and what does that mean for next season, you know, with the war and with John and Mayhem and Minion and Quiet and where we're setting everything up going into next season. Because I think there's a lot to pay off. I think there's a lot to play with. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think we got some cars to find.
Anthony, Calypso's backstory is so fascinating to me. And I love, like, one of the Matrix movies did this recently where we get a legitimate studio, like fictionalized version in the context of the show and having like the NBC-ness of it all and him pitching the idea of Twisted Metal. It's all very meta. It's all very weird. It's all very cool. And the conversation he has with John Doe before they really know who each other is. Can you talk to me about setting up Calypso? Because when we first meet him, we don't know all this stuff. We color it in later. Just all the layers you had to make sure you were giving attention to as you were performing throughout the season.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's so wonderful about this show is that it has this kind of like chaos and mayhem, and it's got obviously just like incredible spectacle with all the stunts and explosions and you know, high-paced energy. But at the same time, it has these like complete like curveballs, you know, that are thrown in there that I think are going to keep fans on their toes. I mean, you know, one of my favorite things about Calypso is, and honestly, it applies for each of these characters, is that there is this kind of intensity to them, but it's matched with kind of like human qualities as well. I mean, he's obviously a super evil individual, but he's powered by things that are very human in terms of what he wants, right? And so, yeah, I'm you know, I'm very grateful that I got to kind of play both, you know, and find both throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. And something I love about Axel, talking to you, Michael, specifically here, is in the games, at least on the surface level, he can just seem like a spectacle of a character, right? He's a design rather than someone with a layered backstory. Here in this show, we get to flesh it out in a huge capacity, in a heartbreaking capacity as well, because there's that connection between Axel and Mayhem, and they don't get to fully flesh that out together. Can you talk to me about his death scene and knowing that he wants Mayhem to be taken care of without Mayhem knowing really the connection that they have?
Yeah, I thought that MJ, our showrunner, crafted that story beautifully. And, you know, back to like talking about humanity, like Anthony was saying, I think a lot of these characters are just searching for their humanity in this crazy post-apocalyptic world. And a lot of them are just on a quest to reconnect with the person that they were before, or some semblant of that person that existed before. And I feel like Axel, he's struggling with that greatly because he's been enslaved, you know? And freedom is defined differently for everyone in this world, but I think his action at the end of the season is his only free choice that I think he really gets to make in this whole story. And that's the only thing he can actually do to rectify all the wrongs that he's done and really touch that person that existed prior to all the apocalypse and Dr. Zimu and all that. That's his only way to touch back home. And yeah, hopefully it's not a death, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see, but I hope.
That's fair, because I was going to say he's a big dude. So I don't know if lightning is enough to take him out permanently.
We shall see. He does roll off into the sunset, but I don't know.
If we don't get a conversation between Axel and Mayhem addressing everything, I think that'll be a missed opportunity. So here's hoping.
But no, I think he was trying to save her from any more pain as well, So maybe that conversation doesn't need to happen at all. She's alive and that's enough.
What a great quote. She's alive and that's enough. That's kind of the magic of the show. Anthony, talking to you specifically about some spoilers that happen in the end of the season, blowing up the crowd. Oh my God. I thought Calypso was one of those kind of two-faced, flip the coin, whatever it lands on, how it shakes out. We still play by his rules. It seems like he's kind of an agent of chaos, though. Would you say that's true?
I think so. I think it's one of his real kind of powers and this kind of thing that keeps everyone on their toes is you really are not sure what he's doing next. But I do think that there's a kind of calculation to it all that is quite terrifying. The lengths to which he is willing to go to kind of, bring to fruition this plan that's kind of been in the works for like centuries, like long time. But yeah, it's that moment in particular, I think is just absolutely wild and truly terrifying. And it just kind of, lets everyone know that the stakes are very real,
Yeah, as the audience member, I have the luxury of being in rooms that Calypso isn't necessarily in. And as that season finale shapes out, John Doe's on a mission and he's coming for Calypso's head. He wants to kill him. With that knowledge, now that I've bestowed upon you, as if you didn't know it already, does he fear John Doe at all? Does he take him seriously?
No, John Doe. You kidding? Well, I think, look, Anthony's going to say that on a certain level, I think that there is this recognition, the lengths to which he will go to protect the ones that he loves. And I think that is something that is probably should be concerning for Calypso. But, Calypso also can't get out of his own way in terms of his own madness. So we'll see how that dynamic plays out.
But obviously, sure. Stu's trajectory in this season, good God, you win the tourney, bro. Like, you're the last one standing. Talk to me about that day on set and the specific scene of driving that car through, getting ready to throw down one more time and realizing the whole battlefield's empty.
I mean, it came after a very emotional scene for me. I lost, my only true friend in the entire world, which is Mike. But that whole day, we were driving around and what you see in the tournament, we were experiencing. We were driving in cars and they had a pod car on top of us and we were zipping around that tourney, that track, and it was terrifying. A lot of people enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it, but it was everything you see on screen is what we experienced. So my heart was racing already, and on top of that, I had to go and win the tourney, which I did not expect. I was very thankful to win the tourney, but I think it's such a funny twist and a surprise that Stu is the one who ends up on top, which is basically just by kind of not being around for a couple minutes, letting everyone take care of themselves and then emerging. So
it's winning a battle royal when, the other guys just eliminate each other. You just sit up and you're like, oh my God, wow. I guess
it shows that journey too of the survival in this world and what it takes and everything like that. And sometimes it just takes not being seen, which Stu can be good at, Stu can be good, even though he's a big man. He's good at getting out of the way when he needs to get out of the way. But
I will say, with how the finale shapes out, even though he gets out of the way in the tournament itself, he's willing to take a step forward and help John Doe and help whatever that cause is going to be moving forward with taking the fight to Calypso. Why do you think he takes that step forward? Where does he get that strength from?
I think, so much of it is he's learned from Sweet Tooth over the course of, the last two seasons. And then finally, I think he sees, what Calypso has done to the world, what he's done to his friend, and Stu is ready to fight. Stu was never a fighter, and now he's finally, that fighter has emerged because of Sweet Tooth, because of everything he's experienced, and he's ready to step up and do what's right.
Very much so. Joe, the spoiler question I have for you, I mean, we saw it in season 1, whenever the hair gets engulfed in flames, like, good God, that is like the You got to save that for one big moment a season, and when it happens this season, things go crazy. That's obviously not practical, right?
No, we pitched it, but yeah, everybody was real down on it. Said,
We were
not a good
practicing
idea.
it in our spare time, Joe and I.
We were working out things. We had some camping fuel, a couple burlap sacks. We had some ideas, but they shot them all down. So yeah, we did not go the practical route, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see we'll see if there's season 3. We'll see what happens.
It would help with effects, Joe, if you did it.
Yeah.
I watched that All in Texas main event, and I know you weren't in it, but like, good God, the guys you associate with, the Moxes of the world, I would think that some of that practicality.
Yeah, they were kind of disappointed it wasn't practical, but I mean, that's their prerogative.
To wrap up with you, Joe, where does Sweet Tooth find himself as we venture closer to season 3? Do you think he will take the alliance of John Doe? Do you think he will side with Calypso? Where is he in this giant war that we're setting up?
I think Sweet Tooth is kind of going on his own odyssey here. Obviously, he finds himself in the possession of the great Charlie Kane, Pope of New York, and and father of Sweet Tooth. So we're definitely going to go down a little bit of history lane and learn a little bit more about the origins of Sweet Tooth and what makes him tick, and hopefully meet his father.
Dollface's death in 206, the wish to bring her back later on, the fact that wish kind of comes true because she's revealed to be the minion. Talk to me about how much you knew about the trajectory of Dollface going into this show. Was it a surprise to you knowing she was going to come around full circle to be the minion?
No, actually, MJ, our showrunner, called me when I got the part, and he told me everything.
Yeah, that he had those calls with all of us.
And
I know. Where he just like, here's everything about your character.
And he loves it so much, and so it's so fun. Yes. I was so excited because he was so excited. And when do you get to play so many different characters or so many different sides of a character? Like, I feel like we get to see Dollface as Krista, as Dollface, as, like before and after death, and as Minion. And so you get to see little sprinkles of all those different moments in her life throughout the series. And it's like, that's so special. That's so cool and so fun for me as an actor to get to do.
And we see one brief moment too, the last scene with Minion, there's a flash in the eyes. You think you think Krista's still in there somewhere? Maybe she's, I like to think that she is. I like to think that she is. The hope is still there, And Patty, to talk about Raven's End specifically too, we kind of alluded to it earlier, kind of getting her wish of having her friend reunion.
I think she won. I think we all know she won the game.
When she sticks out her hand and she has that look on her face, what's going through her head?
I mean, she is right there, like it's at her fingertips, and I really do think she's so happy in that moment and like fulfilled and feeling like, oh, I'm getting my wish. And so I do think she, like, afterlife is like, okay, she's like, we're gonna go hang in the next realm. Mm-hmm. So it was mixed emotions in that last moment, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you were killing it in every round. Like, every single one.
Raven was top of that leaderboard for sure.
Yeah.
I got to wrap with this one final question, but Saylor, I can't leave you without talking about Axel. Axel and Mayhem's relationship.
I know.
We only got a tease. We only got a brief tease of it before Axel perishes himself. Do you think she'll learn more as the weeks and years go on?
There is something so devastatingly beautiful about the fact that she never knows who he was to her. She never knew why he sacrificed himself for her. She wasn't even awake. Mayhem was like passed out when he was standing right there in front of all three of us and taking in that lightning. And there was so much of me that immediately, even in just reading the script and after sobbing for a while, I think the first thing I did was talk to MJ, and I was like, is she ever gonna find out, guys? Like, is she ever gonna know? Because that's like, it was like heart-wrenching when I was reading it. And he gave me the appreciation for like how much it just like the extra hurt that comes with the unknowingness of who he was to her and who he could have continued to be to her. But I also, there's a part of me that hopes that there's more to the story, that maybe it's not completely done yet, because that was one of my favorite storylines to explore throughout the entire thing. And me and Michael Shaw.
I know.
First of all, I miss Michael Shaw so much. But he just made it so easy, like so easy to like see every single like ounce and effort of emotion in the entire storyline. Like he is what made that. And we had so many conversations about it. I was literally lucky enough somehow to be the one to tell him that we had that connection in the storyline. He didn't know it. Sorry, MJ. My bad. But it's just like I feel lucky for having had that storyline, and I do think there's a nice silence in them never really knowing further than what they had.
Welcome to Twisted Metal.